Welcome to the first edition of 5 Questions on the Voice of the Saints blog. I'm here with my first special guest, head volleyball coach here at St. Scholastica, Dana Moore. All right, the first question. At my high school, our volleyball team was just plain bad. So I've never been able to appreciate volleyball too much. And I know our St. Scholastica program has had a lot of success, so what's your advice to me or someone who has never really appreciated volleyball? How should we like volleyball and so we can come out to support the Saints?
Sure. It's a really fast-paced game. I'm amazed we talk a lot in practice and in timeouts about the game is won and lost in transition. And that's when you are constantly going from offense to defense. And it happens in a match. It's just what we do. It's that once that ball passes across that net, and we change from offense to defense. And it's such an exciting game because it is so fast-paced and there's so much involved. So I would suggest that you, to anybody, to give it a chance. I think if you've watched it much on television, they don't give us a great look the way they film us. I was watching tennis over the weekend, and I thought to myself, if they would be better about taping it like they do tennis from behind and then go to an on-top shot, because it gives you a little better feel for the pace of the game. But I think just to come on out for the first time and see this is an exciting group. Young, we're still making some mistakes, but it's such an exciting game because it is so fast-paced.
All right. Kind of on that subject where you're going, we've had a bit of a slow start the past couple of years for the Saints. Is that just because for the past few years you've been transitioning in a lot of youth, or?
It's twofold. One is that, and this is pretty consistent for most of my career, we play really tough competition in the beginning. And we've done that on purpose from a scheduling standpoint to try to play some of the best in the area. And that just prepares us for conference, which ultimately, come 2010, we have that automatic qualifier. And so we want to be very well prepared for conference. This year, it's very much about youth. Last year, it was not. Last year, we went out west to Oregon. We played some great competition. Every year, like I said, we try to schedule really, really tough teams. Last year, we started 5 seniors. All had a major role in our program, on our team. And when we were in Oregon, 3 of our 4 matches went to 5 games. 5 sets. They changed the terminology. But this year, it's definitely about youth. We have 4 freshmen that are playing fairly consistently. And then even with our senior leadership of 3 women, Megan Bartman is the only one that's seen a lot of playing time since her freshman year. The other 2, Taryn McHugh and Rebecca Uderman, have been involved from the beginning and have seen some playing time, but haven't seen the amount that they are seeing this year. So in a lot of ways, even though we have 3 seniors that are playing a major role, they're still very young in the game.
All right, kind of on transitioning in the next question. Well, you do have a young team, so maybe we should take a minute to introduce some of the newest ones. Who are your brightest stars, and who are the players to watch when fans come out?
Well, we've had a Hibbing High School connection for about the last 3 or 4 years. And the Hibbing girls, when they get to us and become young women in this sport, are very well coached, and they are very fundamental. There isn't a lot of teaching. There's more about the pace of our game, the pace of collegiate ball. But Paige Hardy, who's an outside hitter from Hibbing, is delightful to watch. She has a very high vertical, and when she comes in for an approach, you get excited to see her because she comes in with speed and she jumps really well. And so she's on the outside. Taylor Tillia, who's my first 6 foot that I've ever coached, plays on the right side, and she is really doing a great job hitting the ball well. Then we have 2 freshman setters. Sarah Kurtovich comes to us from Andover, and Alyssa McDonald from Chisholm are playing a huge role running our 6-2 offense. So they split time. We set from the back row, so when one of the setters is in the back row, the opposite right side is in the front row, and then we switch that out when they transform into 3 rotations.
Okay. Speaking of young stars, your daughter, Joey Moore, is a star on the women's soccer team here. How does somebody who has a volleyball coach, her mother, become such a great soccer player?
Well, when our children were small, the first sport in the fall or the summer was soccer. They all tried a variety of them, but all three, Patrick, Daniel, and Joey, all soccer players. Actually, we have a cat, and her name is Sweeper, and we named her that because all three of our children have played that defensive position. When Joey was little, she used to come with me to preseason, and she'd get up very early with us, and she'd be involved in all of our water workouts, and we'd go to Chester Bowl, and she learned a little bit of the game, but soccer has always been her true love. So it's really exciting to have her here, playing for Dave Riles. Dave coached our middle child, Daniel, he's a senior here. And we just always appreciated the way Dave coaches. He takes, I think, sometimes very average players and turns them into really great players. So it's really fun to have her here and playing for Dave.
All right. Last question. I've known you for about 2 years now, and you are always positive. You have a saying of attitude is everything. So what's your advice to me and to the web on how to keep a positive attitude?
Well, I've always been really upbeat. It's just kind of been my personality. But the positive part started many years ago when I was at another college called Fontbonne College. It's now Fontbonne University in St. Louis. And I lost a player to death. My job there, I was the athletic director and volleyball and softball coach. And my charge at the institution was to bring a men's sport to the institution to increase the number of males on campus. And we began soccer, and our very first recruited athlete was a young man who lost his life about a year later. And I remember putting a picture of him up on my clock thinking, life is way too short to not live it to the fullest. Interestingly enough, when I got here to St. Scholastica 4 years ago, I lost another player to death. And again, it reminds me how important life is to live it to the fullest. And just I think about it every day. What's the point of being negative when I've got this, I've got my health, I've got a wonderful family, I've got a great job, love my job, love working with these women and college students like you, Joe, in general. It's just so much fun to be here. So it's really about kind of getting inside and thinking, is it worth it to not be positive?
All right. Well, I hope that was relatively painless.
That was great.
Thank you for being on our
You
program
bet.
here.
You bet.
And thank you for watching. You've just heard the voice, head volleyball coach Dana Moore.